God bless CPAC.
God doesn't exist. Also, you're loud and fat.
I gotta say, Orlando is awesome. It's not as nice as Cancun. But it's nice. And I gotta say, what an amazing array of speakers here at CPAC. For a second there, I thought we were in Des Moines.
All right, that's enough. Get to your speech already.
We are gathered in dark times. We're gathered at a time where the hard left, where the socialists control the levers of government.
Oh, look, another person who doesn't know and doesn't care what socialism actually means.
Where they control the White House, where they control every executive branch.
There's only one executive branch, boy.
Where they control both houses of Congress. Bernie is wearing mittens.
He's also not president.
And AOC is telling us she was murdered. And the media desperately wants to see a Republican civil war.
It's good for ratings, mate.
Liberty is under assault, and what are we going to do? I'll tell you, we will fight. And let me tell you, the media here looks at the men and women gathered here, at the young people gathered here, as dangerous radicals. This is the Rebel Alliance, and Vader and the Emperor, and let's be clear, they're not your father, are terrified of the rebels who are here.
Well, there it is, the classic fascist strategy of portraying your enemies as simultaneously overwhelmingly powerful and pathetically weak.
And I'm proud to tell you, Gina Carano is standing with us.
Great, I can show my video about Gina Carano's cancellation in the top right corner.
So what do we do? What do we do at a time where the hard left is resurgent? Two very simple things. Number one, we defend liberty.
By inciting a mob to go and overthrow the democratic result of the election?
Look, are there tensions in our party? Sure. Because we believe in diversity. We believe in individuality. Different people have different views.
The fuck are you talking about? I've never seen a conservative say anything remotely original in my entire life.
We aren't the Borg enforcing... Okay, I may have committed a cardinal sin mixing Star Wars and Star Trek. We don't believe in uniformity.
Well, that is, as long as you're a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant or rich and follow your traditional gender roles very carefully.
But I'll tell you what can unite conservatives and libertarians and those who value the Constitution and the Bill of Rights is a love of liberty.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time in the world fascists have taken over in the name of protecting liberty.
And the left, they tell you who they are. Particularly in a global pandemic. As Rahm Emanuel said, you never want to waste a good crisis. And who boy, these guys don't want to waste it. You see statists in California putting 37 tons of sand in a skate park.
Wait, how's that statist?
Because ain't nobody having fun while the socialists are in charge.
Which socialists?
We see Bill de Blasio in New York sending people in to shut down parks and to throw young Orthodox Jewish kids out of the parks.
Holy fuck, you're race baiting so hard. Why do you love identity politics?
Because, God forbid, children have fun. We see leftists across the country shutting down churches. California, they've helpfully explained, you can go out and protest. You can scream and yell. Abolish the police.
Who the fuck is saying abolish the police?
And this virus, magically, no one will get infected.
Yeah, because we're outside and wearing masks. There's no evidence the BLM riots have caused spreads.
You can French kiss the guy next to you, yelling abolish the police. And no one will get infected.
Imagine if he had to represent something we actually believe.
But if you go to church and say Amazing Grace, everyone's going to die.
Because you're indoors and not wearing a fucking mask. This is in no way comparable. How does anybody think this guy's clever?
By the way, how many of y'all have eaten at a restaurant in the last 6 months?
Yeah, indoor dining at this point in time is stupid. Skip.
And listen, let's be clear, this is a dangerous virus. But these collectivist statists, okay, now they're saying...
Just an hour ago, Mike Lee talked about how collectivism and assembly is the most important right.
Everybody can get immunized. We can have herd immunity everywhere, and we're going to wear masks for the next 300 years. And by the way, not just one mask, 2, 3, 4. You can't have too many masks.
Wait, scientists have long since backtracked on that. You know what they say, 2 layers isn't safer.
How much virtue do you want to signal?
See, conservatives just like to throw out catchphrases and words without making an actual argument. If you're gonna use these phrases, at least use them properly. Wearing masks is effective.
This is just dumb. You know, the U.S. Capitol has giant fences with razor wires and 5,000 National Guards standing out front.
Because a mob stormed the fucking Capitol.
Because the Democrats are convinced that political theater helps them.
If conservatives don't like theater, then what the fuck is Donald Trump? Donald Trump is like 99% theatrics.
Let's be clear, this is not about security at this point. This is about political theater. Half the country, the deplorables, are dangerous. And they're going to turn the Capitol into a military outpost in Baghdad just to have their compliant media echo that message.
Yeah, imagine if Republicans did that. Like, I don't know, proposing a wall at the southern border.
But do you know what terrifies every one of these statists? The truth.
Yeah, facts don't care about your feelings.
Liberty's powerful. Liberty's persuasive. Liberty is fun. You know, last week, we lost the great Rush Limbaugh.
Click the link in the top right corner to see my commemoration of him.
I was so blessed and so fortunate to call Rush a friend.
Conspiracy confirmed. Russiagate's real.
And Rush understood the power of liberty. You know, before there was Hannity.
Yikes.
Before there was Tucker.
Oof.
Before there was Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder. Before there was Donald Trump. There was Rush Limbaugh. And before there was Section 230, there was something called the Fairness Doctrine, which gave leftists in Washington the power to silence views they didn't like.
Wait, what? The Fairness Doctrine only required broadcasters to present controversial issues in a fair, open, and honest manner. That's not censorship. In fact, a reinstitution of that rule would probably fix a lot of the problems with mainstream media that you often complain about.
We got rid of the Fairness Doctrine, and Rush Limbaugh started by going on one AM station. And then a second AM station, and then a third, and then a fourth, and then a fifth, and the voice of liberty spread like prairie fire.
The voice of liberty that opposed drugs and supported torture, huh?
And let me tell you right now, in Los Angeles, there's some skater kid who's 19, who's told that it's hip and chic and cool to be a leftist socialist man.
What do you mean, man? It's well known that leftists hate men.
Who's going to hear a message? Wait a second, these guys don't want me to speak, think, have fun, do what I want to do?
You're the ones against gay sex and gender liberation.
The message of liberty is profoundly subversive. The left believes in rigid conformity. We believe in diversity, free speech. You can say whatever you want, no matter how dumb it is.
Except for kneeling for the flag and BLM marches. You gotta cancel and quash those, respectively.
And by the way, in Washington, D.C., we test that proposition. Religious liberty, you can worship however you like on your knees before Almighty God. Or you can worship the almighty dollar. Or you can worship, I don't know, pink Martians. That's the beauty of freedom, the Second Amendment. Oh, the left hates the Second Amendment.
A lot of leftists are pro-gun. I'm not, but...
Because they want their people docile and compliant.
Unlike how you want your women.
You know, when we saw riots all across the country, I remember there were reports that riots were going to come into mostly peaceful, fiery but mostly peaceful.
Wait, of the millions of people who marched for Black Lives Matter, 96% of those marches were completely peaceful. Of those 4% that weren't, how many of them were instigated by police, people like the Proud Boys, or simply just rioters who were just opportunists?
There were reports riots were going to come into the suburbs. I got to tell you, in Houston, where I live, there weren't any rioters. Because let's be very clear, if there had been, they would discover what the state of Texas thinks about the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms.
This guy's literally advocating for political violence and vigilantism. They're actually unhinged.
So defend liberty.
By shooting up anybody who's using their First Amendment right to peacefully protest.
But number two, have fun. You know, so many on the right, they act like they got a stick inserted somewhere it doesn't belong.
Because you snowflakes are too busy melting with your victim complexes.
Like, just lighten up. Especially now, the left, they are shrill. They are angry. How many leftists does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Well, it depends on the labor that...
That's not funny! Like, God bless! Who would want to be around these people? You know, Jerry Seinfeld doesn't tell comedy anymore because any joke that's funny is canceled. You know, SNL is unwatchable. The late night comedy, they stand up and say, we hate Donald Trump. Yeah, no kidding. We didn't get that the last 9,000 times you told that. You know, in 2020, the New York Times reported that 60% of women named Karen voted for Joe Biden.
But 57% of all women voted for Biden.
That's actually real. You can look it up, the fact checkers, that's what the New York Times reported. And I'm willing to bet 80% of the men named Karen voted for Joe Biden.
Wait, does he expect that we'll get offended by this transphobic joke?
Just have fun. You know, yesterday, John Boehner made some news. He suggested that I do something that was anatomically impossible. To which my response was, who's John Boehner? And you know what? There are a whole lot of voices in Washington that want to just erase the last 4 years. Want to go back to the world before, where we had government of the lobbyists, by the lobbyists, and for the lobbyists.
Wait, the only people meaningfully opposing money in politics are the leftists.
Where the Republicans' compelling message was, Republicans, we waste less. And they look at Donald J. Trump and they look at the millions and millions of people inspired who went to battle fighting alongside President Trump, and they're terrified. And they want him to go away. Let me tell you this right now, Donald J. Trump ain't going anywhere.
No, please do. I'd like to see him lose again.
And the Republican Party is not the party just of the country clubs. The Republican Party is the party of steel workers.
Whose unions you've been destroying for decades?
And construction workers, and pipeline workers, and taxi cab drivers.
Whose contract jobs give them no health benefits?
And cops, and firefighters, and waiters, and waitresses.
Whose minimum wage increase you oppose?
And the men and women with calluses on their hands who are working for this country. That is our party, and these deplorables are here to stay.
A fake populist bourgeois poser. He's very good at propaganda.
Every one of you has a platform. Every one of you has a voice. The corporate media wants to silence these voices. You have a platform. You know, last year I launched a podcast.
No shilling with me, bitch.
You have the same platform. You have social media. You have your friends, your neighbors, your family, your classmates. Speak out for freedom. Because I'm going to close with these words of encouragement. These are dark days, and the media tells us this is the new galactic empire forever and 1,000 years.
I don't think Biden will last a single year.
But already Joe Biden and the radicals in his administration, they are already overshooting. They are already going too far.
The fuck are you talking about? He's barely passed any legislation. He's been backing down on basically all his campaign promises.
Their policies don't work. They are disasters. They are bad. They are destroying jobs. They are stripping our freedom. And there is a natural pendulum to politics. And the country will come back to sanity.
Holy fuck, he's actually deranged. He actually thinks QAnon and all those conspiracy theories are real. We don't live in the same fucking reality anymore.
And mark my words, 2022 is going to be a fantastic election year. And so is 2024 as we stand together and defend liberty, defend the Constitution, defend the Bill of Rights of every American. In the immortal words of William Wallace, freedom!
Well, he's less unfunny than Dave Rubin and Steven Crowder, at least.